sure that we get it to everyone.
For sure.
One of the biggest things in the downfall for a lot of individuals is just having the ability or the mindset to maintain consistency, to ensure that they are stepping into their system daily, regardless of what their schedules look like. That for many people, real estate related or not, is a struggle, right? So a lot of it comes down to time management as well as your self accountability, things like that. For you personally, to keep you motivated in your system, or to make sure that you're jumping in the system, what does your daily habits look like to make sure that there's always that time where I'm making at least one call in my database? Because that's what I tell everyone. One call is better than no calls.
Yeah.
Right. So if you can only manage one call, it's not it's not going to be super fulfilling or rewarding in many cases, but at least you can say you did something rather than letting it, sit there and not doing anything. So it's also developing that habit of just at least logging in and doing something on a daily basis. Yeah. So for you, what do you find? What keeps you motivated to jump into your system? But also, what does a daily routine look like for you, as far as if you have some sort of schedule that you follow, as far as time blocking or anything like that?
Totally. So these are great questions. So to first start off, so what gets me going to meet my goals, essentially, I think at the end of the day is, when I joined Keller Williams, the big thing that they said to us is that you have to figure out what your why is, right? Once you figure out what your big why is, and your big why is like why you're working and you're building an empire for yourself. Like, why are you doing that? For me, the reason why I'm doing this is because I saw my dad as an entrepreneur. I saw him in the real estate industry as he was a builder and a contractor. So I was already naturally born into it with that passion of my dad's. So for me, I really wanted to be, very similar to my dad and just kind of start helping people and, building trust. And, I didn't have the hand skills to build houses. So I do have the, skills to chat and build relationship with people. So my big why is just really trying to get a better life. Right. And like better life, quality of life to me is just, just making sure that the business is going. We don't have a lot of these because as real estate agents, when you're not consistent, you go like this, right? Because you do, 5 deals, I'm good. I'm not going to lead gen. I'm not going to do anything. And then you need money, right? And then it goes like that. So as soon as I first got into the industry, I saw that. And when I joined the team, I didn't want to be like that. So no matter if I have 100 closings or 10 closings or 0 closings, I'm still going to do the same routines that I want to do. So what that looks like is, I think especially being a real estate agent, you really need to time block. And I think if you want to start developing this skill of time blocking, I think that you should start something simple, meaning if you want to go for a walk for a day or any time in the week, or you want to do 3 walks in a week or whatever, you want to go to the gym 3 times a week. I think that these are great muscle memory skills where you can just be like, okay, no, I'm time blocking because this is my goal. I want to go to the gym 3 times a week. This is what I'm going to do. And from 10 to 12, I don't care unless I'm going to the hospital. That's the only way I'm getting out of it. And I think it's like taking your time super seriously on like how to do it. And especially as you get more busier and progressively, gain more clients and all this stuff, it's really hard to lead gen. And that's where a lot of even top agents fall off, right? Like they do well for a couple months and then they fall off because either they're burnt out, they don't have systems, or they don't have a bigger team that can kind of take care and catch some other stuff, right? So that's what I would recommend. For me, like what my days look like, and I started implementing this with this team, with my team, is I believe Mondays from 10 to 1, it's our lead genning time. All the agents, we're all going to be in there together and we're all going to call. And then on Friday, I believe it's Thursday, I think it's going to be 12 to 3 where we just call, right? So, I think what you should do is look at your calendar, look at, like I have an iPhone. So I use the iPhone calendar to kind of go through, like plan my life. If it's not in my calendar, it's not on my radar. So I kind of plan everything from there. So I look at, okay, next week, this is what's happening. This is what I need to do. So I'll start blocking a couple times to call. Remember, especially when you're at the beginning, you're not going to want to call. Like no one just goes, I want to just call random people today. Like you have to build that momentum and that skill set because, at first I didn't want to call anyone, but now I get to the point where it's like, okay, let me just do my calls quick and then I can be done for the day if there's nothing else. And I think,
Mhm.
remember, as real estate agents, our job is to connect with people, build relationships, write contracts, and close sales. Like that's your job. Everything else,
Mhm.
like doing the admin stuff, social media, all that, that's bonus, like the social media. But as a real estate agent, you need to just be focusing on those things and contacts.
Mhm. No, absolutely. Time blocking is important. And scheduling and using some sort of online calendar, scheduling something that you rely on for your, day-to-day obligations and or, appointments coming up. I find that, even for myself, as much as I, push it into you guys, there's things that I definitely don't put into my calendar because I don't feel it's necessary. But what I find that I do in those scenarios, because sometimes it's not even like, okay, you just got to add it to your calendar. It's not a big deal. For some of us, we still, as much as we can be on the ball, there's still a little bit of laziness in us, right? We're like, I can't be bothered to do that.
Right.
But really, and even with myself, it could be something simple as I have to take the dog to the vet, right? Something as simple as that. But what am I doing up until that vet appointment is constantly thinking about when that vet appointment is so I make sure I don't miss it, right? Even as something simple as something personal, I don't feel like it deserves time in my calendar. I obviously put it in there if it was in the middle of the day because I don't want someone to book over it. But I find that, and that's what a lot of individuals will do, is we mentally try to remember everything we have to do instead of putting it somewhere and then not even having to think about it anymore. And then the system itself is going to like, hey, you've got this call today, or if you're just checking your calendar, like you should be every day, really,
Sure.
what's on your schedule for the next couple of days, things like that, you're going to find yourself feeling as though you have more time because you've opened up and a lot of blocked mental time that you have where we're just kind of juggling things. So the minute that I initially started using an online calendar just for my standard stuff, let alone any kind of personal stuff, you just feel like that more at ease, right? And if you can stick to the habitual factor of I'm going to follow my calendar. Everything my calendar says, I am going to do my best to follow that. And then it becomes like a habit, and kind of like how you said, if you want to go to the gym or you want to dedicate time, to go for a walk, start with something small where you're time blocking and then holding yourself accountable to actually follow through on that. Because that's basically where you can start. But that's also with your calls, right? So if you time block and you look at your calendar for the week ahead and say, okay, this is what I've got so far in my calendar. Monday, I'm going to do this. Tuesday, I'm going to do this, and you're blocking times accordingly. So sometimes you might only have 15 minutes one day because that's all your calendar is going to allow you to do without you going chaotic. The next day, you might have an hour long that you can actually sit down and spend in there. And then the next day, maybe you're completely free, so you time block yourself a larger two portions of two time slots in that day that you're going to be making calls. So it will help you to just do that for yourself, but it's not easy, right? It's not easy to get into those habits, and especially that motivation. It's why a lot of people get gym buddies, right? They've got somebody there being like, hey, let's go to the gym, or a few people being like, hey, let's go to the gym, because sometimes if we leave it to ourselves, we're just going to talk ourselves out of not going to the gym.
Totally.
Right.
And
So
have like a something that is, like kind of like a penalty if you don't do it. Especially if you have that, because you don't want to do things that you don't want to do, right?
yeah.
I know it's hard because when we think about things like this, we don't want to be punished. But I mean, I think at the end of the day, we just got to look at the basic principles. It's like, okay, this is what I want to do. It has a lot of reasoning for me to do it because this is one of my goals. So why will I not follow through with it? I think like you have to kind of perceive yourself and look different. If I'm not following through with it, why do I deserve to go out tonight? Or you know what I mean? Like something small like that. But we have some questions here, so I can
Yeah.
I can ask I can take Witty, or I know that's
Yeah.
their
Yeah,
hands up.
absolutely. Yeah. So Woody is asking a question here. With the current market changes, how are you overcoming the objection of why should I buy in these current conditions?
Totally.
Because there's
So
definitely a lot of skepticism, like all across the board,
totally.
because there is that shift that everyone is witnessing.
Totally. So just before I give the answers, I just kind of want to help others critical think, right? Why do you think people should buy in this market, just before I give you my little script on what I say to my clients, because I don't want to just give you guys the answers. Like, I'm totally cool with that, but I also want to help you guys get there and see where my thought process is. If no one's going to answer, no problem. I just want to try to challenge everyone here. But it doesn't look like anyone's doing that, so no problem. So what I say to this, okay, yes, well, rates are still low, which is good, yes. But what I basically tell everyone is this, is, hey, Mr. Nick, I totally understand you feel that way, but remember, we've been in a seller's market in our area for the last 2.5 years that brought prices up. Right now, with rates going up, it's causing uncertainty in the market. And how you make money in the industry, in the real estate industry, is making moves when the market is uncertain, because that's how you get an even better deal. Remember, if you buy something for now and you want to flip it by the end of the year, you're probably going to lose money. And not, at the end of the day, like, that's not how real estate works. You might get lucky a couple times, but it won't always work, right? The real wealth in real estate is holding the properties. So right now is a really great time to get a property at a very good price under listing. Some of them are getting like 50 to 100K under listing. I think we did one that was under 100 listing recently, which is huge on our buyer's end. And like, you're holding the properties. We tell our clients, as long as you're holding the property for 3 to 5 years, you're going to make money. That's all it is. Also, too, sellers, if they're looking to sell, hey, last year or a couple months ago, back in January, February, yes, you would have sold high, but guess what? The product that you really wanted was never in your budget because they were selling like super high. Now, yes, you're taking less on your house, totally understand, but now you have so many more other properties in range that was never in your area before. So, remember, the worst part is you don't want to buy, you don't want to, you have to buy and sell in the same market, right? That's how it always works out, to make sure that there's no issues. You don't want to go, like, a lot of people had hesitancy where it was going up so much, and then, waiting for that peak to happen. So you don't want to put your house, you don't want to purchase something now when that peak's happening, and then you list your house for sale and now you're getting less. There's a lot of people that got pinched right now due to that, right? And everyone's scenario is different. I totally understand. But now this is a great time because you're buying and selling in the same market. There's no like, oh, okay, what's going to happen? How much more higher is it going to go? Or when is it going to drop? Because it already dropped. Like, from February to now, the average price in our area in Durham region dropped about 220K. So that's a significant amount of money to get some deals, especially if you're a first-time buyer. This is the time to get in. Plus, like, yes, interest rates are rising. However, what would you want? Would you rather pay more? Like, if you keep waiting, you're going to possibly just keep paying more interest, right? Which means that you're going to be paying your principal off less because more is going to interest. So it's a really great time to get a great property because there's a lot of competition there. Plus, the market's uncertain. So this is a great time to get a deal. And if you're looking to sell or buy, this is the perfect time because you need to sell and buy in the same market to make sure that there's no errors or very little errors. That's what I've been telling people. So we actually got an agent locator lead that came in 6 months ago. Wasn't ready. First time buyer, still kept in touch. She signed, I took her out. The first time I took her out, I got her on her BRA 2 weeks ago. She just already bought. She listened to me though. She goes, Nick, she was looking at freehold properties. Her budget was only 600K. She was looking at freehold properties, like detached houses, thinking that was the way. Once I educated her, hey, look, as a first-time buyer, you want to get as much as a move-in ready house because you're probably like me and you can't fix things, right? So there's no point of buying something, paying such a large deposit, and then paying more on top of that, right? That's why move-in ready products are so good because you're just making one lump payment rather than, oh, I got to pay my mortgage. Oh, here's another 15 grand to do this and this, right? Because when you're purchasing, you don't have extra money usually. And if you do, it's just in your reserves for God forbid something happens. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. Yeah, I can see there's definitely hesitation, but the market is moving. And I've always said it all along. If you've got low interest rates, yes, the prices are going to be higher, but you're also paying more on your principal versus interest.
Huge.
However, a lot of people are waiting for the market to come down like it is now, but that only typically happens when interest rates rise. So you have, a choice to make as well in those scenarios is, do I want to pay more in principal or more in interest? I mean, some people, they have to pay more in interest because the properties need to come down to a certain point to be able to purchase them, for sure, right? But it's the ones that were definitely early in the market that were kind of, oh, when they should have. It was hard to get in because it was so competitive. But before it really took, like, prices really skyrocketed, that would have been the ultimate time to buy or move. But no one has a crystal ball,
Yeah.
right? So
And guess
you
what, too?
don't.
This is the best time to get a deal in this market because guess what? There's not a lot of strong agents, meaning there's a lot of 1% agents right now that are pushing products, which is fine. There's a lot of out of town agents that are got the deal from relationship or whatever way, and they're not pricing their homes properly. So this is a great opportunity to make some money and get some properties and build your wealth.
Mhm.
That's kind of what I'm telling people because I've been seeing a lot of agents not really listing things correctly.
Mhm.
It is what it is. So Witty, seller objection. What if I sell now and the appraisal comes low? This is kind of a little bit of a fact-finding question. Okay,
Mhm.
so Mrs. Whitty, I totally understand that's your concerns, but remember, as your real estate agent, my job is to do the comps as best as possible and showcase what it is before you put that offer, so we can find a way to make sure that everything works well. Right now, we don't have to go 300-400K over asking. You know what I mean? Right now, a lot of agents are either listing at where they want to be, where it's negotiable, or they're holding off offers. Some are not even getting offers. And then some are not even getting offers. And if you are in multiple offers, you're not going super crazy, maybe 100K over asking, right? So, regarding the appraisal, well, let me fact find. Okay, so if your house could sell for 800, how much are you looking to purchase, right? How much money are you putting down? Okay, you bought the house 400,000, I don't know, 3 years ago, and now it's worth 800. Okay, so now after fees and all that, you probably have about a good 300 or 350 left. So you have a good amount of money just in case if the appraisal does come a little bit short, you have the difference. Like,
Mhm.
you have to go in, like, remember, like, you have to treat people like yourself, meaning that if you're going to give them bullshit, they're going to know it's bullshit. You have to, like, come with sense and you have to practice. And if you don't know these questions, like, great for coming on here, but educate and maybe talk to another agent that's in your area that does a lot of deals. And hopefully they will give you some of their time, take them out for coffee, whatever they need to do, and start picking people's brain. Cause that's what I did when I
Mhm.
first got in the industry. And then obviously the more you practice, the more deals you do, the more deals you do, the more scenarios come up, right? And every
Mhm.
scenario is kind of different. There's still, like, 7 years in, sometimes there's still a couple of scenarios that I've never been in, right? So
Mhm.
you just have to kind of figure it out, but you just gotta make sure you fact find, because I think a lot of people don't fact find.
And
Like,
when that's it is a valid question because there is a lot of people encountering that right now where their closing's coming up and the banks are saying, sorry, we're not going to give you the loan now because this house is now assessed at this and you're trying to purchase it at this. We need this much money now from you, right? And a lot of people extended themselves to the maximum budget, so they don't have any extra money just laying around, right? So some individuals are sadly finding themselves in unfortunate
in a pin,
situations where they can't actually close on a property.
right?
And now they're going to be held accountable as well if the seller decides to go after them for the inconvenience as well.
Totally.
So it's
It's just
definitely
shit show.
a sad situation that's happening. And in all honesty, you would almost hope that the government would step in and be like, okay, we understand this is why this happened, right? And offer a slight solution to that or a temporary loan to throw on there, kind of like they
Right.
used to do for first time buyers. Like in BC anyway, they had it where you purchase a property up to a certain amount, the government would match a certain amount of down payment to help you, but you had the first 5-year term to pay off that down payment. So nothing was really going on your principal for your first year because it was going just back to the government, but it made it feasible for people, right? So it helped them. And so something like that, I doubt our government will do that, unfortunately, but would be super beneficial. It's just having that security or that insurance, or even like CMHC doing something. If you qualified for the insurance, I feel like it could have also, this would be a scenario where that would definitely help, where they step in when something like this happens that's uncontrollable, it's unforeseen, that this is going to happen in this moment, that when we put the offer in, this is what we were approved for, this is what the bank said, and now it's been 30, 60 days, we're looking to move in and the property is now not worth the original value we were approved for and assessed at and all that. The bank's saying they want more money. I feel like CMHC should also have play a part in that if you were approved for that insurance in the first place.
Totally.
But
So the other thing is remember, like, if your appraisal comes in low and they can't do it, remember, you can also, it's going to be a little bit more costly, but it's more important to close on the deal than to not close because there's so much obligations tied to it. Meaning, for example, let's say you bought something for 800K, the market went down. Okay, let's say the house was 800K, you guys bought it, didn't close. The next deal that the person did on that property because they put it back on the market was 700K. A, you would lose your deposit. B, there'd be a damage of 100K difference because now they lost 100K that they're going to go after now. So like now it's a shit show, right? So what I would be doing is, if I haven't been in that situation, thank God, but if I was, I would be getting someone to get a private lender if the banks doesn't close on for you. I would get a private lender. Yes, it's a little bit more costly with a lender fee of 1 or 2% plus high interest, all that stuff. But you close on that 6 months later, refinance with an A lender because now you have equity. So that's kind of your solution.
the short term
Yeah.
fix. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I would recommend for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, if you go through CMHC, just letting others know if you're in my area. So if you're putting less than 20% down, remember that the bank doesn't approve you, CMHC has to approve you, meaning that if your bank rep says, yeah, you're good, and they haven't submitted your file to CMHC, that's a scary thing because in order for them to approve it through CMHC, they have to submit an offer and send it to them. So what that means is that you cannot go firm, right? So you have to make sure, because if you go firm, then that's a little scary, right? There's other ways of kind of being in the gray with that. If your mortgage agent can submit a document just to see where the ratios lie, and the ratio, you're way below the ratios, then you're good to do that. Still a little bit of a risk, but good to do that, So if not, then I wouldn't recommend just going in firm, but you have to like do a couple steps of due diligence before you put an offer in.
Yeah, it's fun times for many people.
Yeah.
Fun times.
Yeah. That actually happened to me on my purchase. I'm the real estate agent, never had this issue before, and it happened to me on my first purchase. So 14 days before closing, they said, hey, Nick, you need to come up with another $80,000. I'm like, dude, like, I don't understand. Like, you're a referral partner for me, and I'm not a drug dealer. I don't have just 80K just in my pocket, right? So at the end of the day, things always work out. I got another lender to give me a better rate with the same money down. So just don't stress. There's always solutions.
Yeah. Feel your way through it and know your resources for sure.
Exactly. So I see some people's hands up. So if you want to send them up.
Yeah. Let's see who's got their hands up. How come? Oh, there's top. So Mohammed, I'm going to allow you to talk if you want to talk, if you have a question.
How's it going, everybody?
Good.
I'm loving this discussion. Yeah, like it is definitely shaky times right now. I just wanted to bring up the topic of inflation as well, right? Like I know a lot of folks are resistant, right? Everyone's trying to time the market, right?
Yes.
Never time
Absolutely.
Time the ball. Right? So, and it's probably not a wise one with real estate, right? We've seen it change tremendously from what was it, like February to March? It was quite a rapid change, right? So it's the same thing on the way back up, right? Where you're right now it's shaky. You're buying things below asking. You're able to put conditions. You're able to put even finance conditions. Inventory is still low, but at the end of the day, you can shop reasonably, right? I don't know what more you can ask for, really. Your deposit and your down payment is basically sitting in a bank, getting hit with 7% inflation. And real estate historically is really, really good way to hedge against inflation, right?
Exactly.
So you can basically almost guarantee, as soon as the government stops their policy, that your real estate portfolio, whatever the house, whatever you're targeting, should go up at least inflation. It's been targeting more. So you'll see whatever you just bought today going up 7%, just as soon as the government stops with their policy, which they're going to, right? They've done quite a bit already. They've had the results they're looking for, and I think right now when the election is over and things kind of cool off, you might see a little bit less intervention, right, from the government.
Totally.
Right away, you're looking at that 6-7% increase, and inflation takes time to die off, right? So I've been telling folks that some have been working great on it. Yeah, some are like, let's do it, let's do it. We're looking at homes now, and some unfortunately have that mindset that they can time things. So it is what it is, right? You just kind of nurture them through, keep yourself, I guess, first in line. So you're always kind of following up with them, and
Mhm.
until they're kind of ready, right? So that's
Totally.
all I wanted to add.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
I
That's a
think the
good,
market for the last 2.5 years has just been
crazy.
it's been crazy. So a lot of people watching and waiting and watching and waiting and watching and waiting, just with the uncertainty of what was happening. So I think now, even though interest rates are going up, we're seeing there is those people that are on the buy side, especially our first time buyers that don't have any property that they need to dispose of. We're seeing those transactions happening, right? So and like as you said, they're not all going over asking anymore. Some of them are going under asking, or you're watching the prices kind of slowly drop, right? Any
Right.
new
Right.
listings, you're recognizing that it's definitely coming down.
Totally.
So I think that's creating a lot of encouragement in the market. How long that lasts, who knows?
Yeah,
Who knows?
Usually when
definitely.
there's
Like, yes.
uncertainty, it doesn't last so long, right? This is where money time is. So if you
Yeah.
were an investor or you have investor clients, this is the time where you start lead genning them, because remember, yes, prices are down, but guess what? Rent's not down. Rent goes up.
Yeah.
So really great opportunity right now if you have an extra 150, 200K sitting in the bank.
Yeah,
No,
good
go
point on the
ahead. Yeah, it's hard on the rent. Like it's that's in a whole other can of worms, but it's really tough for individuals in certain markets. Like I was talking to somebody yesterday on a family home. If I wanted to buy a house or rent a house that would fit my family where I currently live, it's going, and this is not for like the Taj Mahal, and it could very well be a split home, meaning I've got someone in my basement suite. At least $3,600 a month is what
Wow.
I'd be looking at. So that would be for a 4 bedroom, and that could very well not even be the whole house. It could just be
Totally.
the main floor. So
That's
it's
crazy.
a struggle. Well, and the average person doesn't make that much money to pay for
Right.
rent. Otherwise, they would have been approved for a mortgage probably a while ago, right?
Yeah.
It's the government is like saying, oh, it's okay that you pay $3,600 a month in rent, but we don't feel secure enough to actually give you money to buy something so that you can pay less than that, right? So it's definitely frustrating. It's hard, and normal working families are being pushed into poverty.
I totally.
They can't afford just to live um, a
Sad.
regular standard of living, really, here.
Yeah. That's tough.
It is. Priyanka, I know you have your hand up, so it's going to just allow you to chat if you have any questions or
Hi,
anything to say.
Nick. Hi, Crystal. How are you?
I'm
Good.
good.
So I have a question. Like, what's going on in the pre-construction market? Are the prices going to come down, or they've already come down? What are the builders, kind of looking at the condo or single family?
Totally. So for me, I'm not doing too, like, with the market going super crazy for the last year, year and a half. I actually haven't been telling my clients to do pre-construction, because the problem with pre-construction, and it's already, and this was my worst fear because I'm already seeing it with some builders, is that the problem is they're charging super high prices. They're charging today's price points for the future growth. But if we're already almost at the height or being at the height, that means it's only going to come down. So if they're not going to be ready till another 3 or 5 years, the problem is that we don't know what the values are going to be. And if you bought something for $1 million and 3 years from now, depending on how things play out, is only worth 800K, and that's what the bank's going to give you. I mean, you need to come up with a $200,000 difference. The reason why I think resale is better in this market is because your appraisals are going to come in the next 30 to 90 days, and that's going to typically be in the same market. So you're going to get approved. Regarding like your question on prices and how it works, honestly, I think builders, yes, are starting to come down a little bit in price because they're charging today's price points. But for the people who already bought, that's the scary part. So hopefully they already have a good, amount of money in the, and they're not closing this year.
And I don't think there is still the scenario of somebody who's just buying and putting it on the assignment and making 100K a year. Because there's a lot of tax implications also coming up
Exactly.
for these things. So do you think pre-construction condo is a good, because a lot of people who have equity in their home, they don't have a big money sitting to buy a resale, but they can buy something which they can close in few years. So do you think condo pre-construction is a good idea to invest now, or just wait and watch the pre-construction market for a while?
Yeah, so it depends on everyone's scenario, but like let's just say someone's scenario is that they want to purchase. What I would be saying is, you know what, if you don't have the down payment money now, yes, this is a good thing to do. But remember, like if you're purchasing condos, you as an agent needs to do their due diligence on seeing like, is this condo gonna make them money for the next 5 years? Because remember, condos are all about location. So you need to make sure that it's in a really good location, and you know that the municipality that you're working with, or in the city, you got to look at the official plan to see where they're building more and more houses and where they're planning to expand, because you need to purchase something where they're starting to expand more and more, because as new buildings get built, it's only going to push your property prices up on condos.
Mhm.
And
So
is
yes,
this
answer yes. Just make
uh,
sure that they're getting the right product.
It's
yes.
good.
So is
Mhm.
there still assignment sale working, or still a lot of assignment sale property are sitting in the market because people are not ready to give that high,
Price point.
yeah, when somebody has bought already, and they want to make 150K, but the market is down. So there are a
No,
lot of assignment sales in the market. So it is
totally.
scary for a lot of investors to get a step back from pre-construction.
Right. But this is a really great time to shift those people who want pre-construction to get a resale, right?
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
purchase a house and that is maybe like a non-legal, and make into a legal basement, or just get a duplex, which there's not much on the market. But I mean, duplexes are really great to have as well too, because you get two incomes.
Right.
But right now we're in a falling market, so this is a really good opportunity for investors to purchase. Remember, for the last 2 years, investors are not purchasing. They don't buy. They don't spend top dollar. Only end users will spend
Mhm.
top dollar. So this is a really good time for them to make money. Maybe since they didn't get anything for the last year or two, maybe now this year they get 2 or 3 properties, right? Because they're sitting on cash.
Yeah, but still, the market which I am in Kitchener Waterloo, still you are not seeing uh, positive cash flow for investors to buy and rent that property. So still, it is pretty high.
Too
It's
high.
very, very
Yeah.
competitive. Yeah,
But
because
you,
Yeah.
inventory is low.
yeah,
Yeah.
but you got to remember too, though, right? And you have to educate your investors. Hey, Mr. Investor, if you're going to purchase a single family home and you're putting a family in it only, which is one income, you're going to be in the red anywhere from $200 to $500. But you have to
Mhm.
go back to their investment strategy. Well,
Mhm.
Mr. Investor, you told me your investment strategy was more equity rather than cash flow, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So this is where you're going to make a lot of good equity rather than cash flow. If you want something
Mhm.
that's better than cash flow, you up your budget, you get a non-legal basement, and now
Mhm.
you got two incomes, which now you're in the green for $200 to $700. So
Mhm.
you have to really dive deep and know your
Mhm.
market. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's great. Thanks. Thanks, Nick.
Yeah. Hopefully that helps.
Yes,
I
it does.
find I find here, and I don't know about there, like condos are definitely different, especially in like the major cities, because they're pre-planned years in advance, where you
100%.
can buy a pre-sale for 3 years from now. Where I'm in Kelowna, you can't do that. So because it used to be, and even the builders for like the developments, for the housing developments, they used to be like just starting and sold out on phase one, but you could buy into phase two today at phase one prices pretty much. And that was an amazing opportunity, because market at that time, it was a steady market, it's fairly balanced, and you're buying, this is like years ago, so a brand new house at like $350,000, and then you could move in, and your house is already worth more automatically.
Exactly.
Now here anyway, and other areas might be following suit, our developers do not do that. they only sell the current phase. And once that phase is done, they're not selling phase 2 until they're ready to start building phase 2, because they know that they're going to gain more money if they're waiting based on market conditions.
Totally.
Because naturally it's going to take them a couple of years to finish phase 1 in the first place. And normally normal markets, it's just going to go up, right? So it's crappy for people who want to be able to bank and make money that way, but the developers are definitely getting smarter, and they're not doing that anymore. They're waiting, they're holding their properties, and here we don't have like a lot of condo, like actually we're starting to build condos, but it's not like massive developments where it's coming 10 years from now and blah blah blah. You can pre-sell for 5 years from now.
That's interesting to know, because I would think with Kelowna, you have so much scenery that condos, especially being on a higher floor, would be a really great idea.
There are
I guess
boosting.
you don't want to ruin the vibe, right?
There is, yeah, but there is a lot of where we are shooting up, because you can only go up or out, and out means out is expensive, because you're now having to blast the mountains. You're having to blast through dynamite, get those mountains, to be able to put roads and waterworks and all that stuff in there. So it's very costly for any developer to do that, which of course goes into the cost of the home. So we're finding that now they've built up, it also allows for a little bit more affordability, right? So, we didn't have a lot of condos. And so first time buyers or people with limited funds, it was harder for them to secure something, because the only option was a house or a townhouse, right? So now we're finally getting more urbanized, where they're building those developments, but the demand is there. We've got a lot of investors that rent them out or Airbnb them or what have you, as much as they're not supposed to anymore in the city of Kelowna. But yeah, so it's interesting. It's a good way to, I think that buying pre-construction is a good way, but again, it takes a lot of research. What's your current purchase price? If property values go down, kind of judging what the maximum, percentile that it might go down, and are they still going to be able to make money off this, right?
Totally.
So,
and another good thing to think about you guys is, maybe think about going a little bit more east or west from your area. That's more of like a tourism, and maybe you find something that's like you purchase a property that's an Airbnb, which is good, and as long as you market it correctly, that might be a really good opportunity for some investors, because we've been doing that with some of ours, and some of them, like we have one at Grand Bend, and they just put it on, and they already made like 22,000 in the first week and a half, and which is also really good too, because remember, they're not tenants, so you can take back your house at any time.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so those are some good lucrative ideas if your investors don't want to deal with tenants.
And it depends on the area. I know I was talking to one gentleman. He bought a townhouse, and it's about a 20-minute drive, 20-minute drive to the university. So during the school months, he rents it to a student, right? So the student's in there, they're in there till May. And then as soon as May hits, it's an Airbnb. And cool. He's just banking the money, because he's got a consistent tenant throughout the off-season months. And then once summer comes, the thing is just like, it's so easy to rent out. You're in a touristy area, so it's totally. He's banking. He's making a good money off of that decision anyway, right? Making sure. So location is definitely, really great. And you guys think of like little hot spots where the property values haven't skyrocketed yet, but people might vacation to go for a weekend, things like that, right? So they're hard to come across now with everything that's happened in the last couple of years, because everyone seemed to push out to these more rural areas. But yeah, it's definitely kind of looking around and seeing, and also seeing what the competitive market is offering and what's available. Like if there isn't anything really available, you might do very well.
Totally. And like, that's the thing, we have to just like, to make money and to make opportunities, when people are going right, you need to go left. So what that means is that you have to assess your market, see where people are going, and see what the need could be in a year or two, because that's where you're really making the money and opportunities,
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And what he was just saying with respect to the development, he's noticing that builders are offering higher commissions. So that's an indication that pre-construction is also slowing down.
Yeah.
So they're trying to get those units
There's
sold.
deals coming out right now for you guys that have cash. Hold on to that, because I think another through 2 more months, I think that there's going to be some good opportunities. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in September, October, November as we go back to low inventory again, because naturally this is where prices go up. So it'll be interesting to see what's going on. But I think Vaman, he has a really good question for new realtors. If you want to put him up here, we can hear what he's saying, and then
sure.
I think that this is going to be a longer question to answer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey,
How are you,
Nick
Vaman?
and Crystal, how are you?
I'm
Good.
Great. So yeah, I started in March. Like I had a license for long. I had a break. I had a baby girl, and with
Congratulations.
COVID and everything. Thank you. So now I was starting again. I don't know, it's my luck or what. It's in March, and I don't have a big close circle. So all I'm based basically on my online leads, and I do door knocking, cold calling, stuff like that. But I have no luck whatsoever. So I don't know. I'm kind of sitting back now. I don't know. My mindset is like, again, thinking if I should continue or maybe take a break, or like when you started, I want to pick your brain. Like, what would you say? Or I remember one time you also mentioned you made your business on online leads, right? So
built
how many pillars? Yeah. So how many pillars were you working on, or how long does it normally take for an online lead in a balanced market, to
totally understand. Okay, so a few things. Just before I dive into like the lead gen pillars, I think there's a few things to do for sure. Okay. So number one is I would start getting, if you don't have it now, I would start getting a routine ready, meaning how many hours do you want to work in the week, and start planning your work week around that. Okay. Because this is going to give you more mental clarity. I'm like, okay, this is the time that I need to work. Okay. Now, when you're about to work, the next thing is like, okay, so it sounds like you've been doing door knocking and scripting, right? I mean, door knocking and agent locator leads, but nothing yet. So to me, hearing that, you need better scripts or more confidence. Not saying that you're not confident now, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying like, that's my understanding. Like, so for example, like when you're door knocking, like A, what are you taking with you? And B, what is kind of your script? And we're not here to judge. We're all here to learn. So please, the more open you get, the more I can actually help you.
Right. So I was within a team. So when they had a sold or for sale sign, so I go door knocking around the neighborhood.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what would you do? Like, what would you bring? Like, give me a little bit of a quick rundown of what you're doing and what your scripts are.
For the scripting, I would say that we have if it's coming soon, we have a new listing coming this weekend. I will say a little bit about my team, like how many leads or listings we have done, or if you have a plan to sell or buy in near future.
Yeah,
that's about it.
Totally. So I think the way that you're coming across is more transactional, meaning that it's more of a numbers game. So you need to knock like 200 doors maybe to get 1 or 2 leads. Do you see what I'm saying with that type of script?
Okay.
Because you're basically knocking, saying, hey, yeah, this is the new listing. We're a great team. We do so much business. If you need to buy or sell, please, here's my card. That doesn't work. It's a very low chance. What I would be doing differently is this. If you just listed, I would be doing an open house. And instead of doing the just listed, I would do a personal invitation to invite the neighbor to view the house. So the script would be, hey, I'm going to say a random name. Hey, Mary, how are you? This is actually Nick Moretti here at your door. I just want to come by just to introduce myself. I don't know if you noticed, but there's a sign on your street. It's on 12 Main Street. And I just want to come here just to personally invite you to our open house. Did you have any questions about your neighborhood or, what the house is going to look like? Do you see how I'm asking questions? Because you need to ask questions, especially when you're answering. You have to think about it. When someone answers your door or knocks on your door and you're answering it, most of the time you want to just like not even answer it, right? But if you do answer it, how am I going to keep them with me, and how are they going to open up to me, right? If you're giving them a personal invitation for, that's you're giving them opportunity to come by and check the house. So you'd be like, yeah, okay, no problem. So, yes, I do have questions. What type of house is it? Oh, it's an attached house, 3 bedrooms, 3 bathroom home. It's a newly built, as you know, because you live, on the same street. Did you have any questions about the market? Were you looking were you wondering about how much your house is worth, or were you looking to make a purchase? They're probably going to say no, right? But this is where I think Agent Locator can come in, because Agent Locator has a nosy neighbor campaign, right? So I would just say, hey, you know what? I totally understand. Remember, it usually takes anywhere between 3 to 18 months to make a move, right? Because you're just in the information stage. There's a lot of changes in the market. So my job as your realtor is to inform you of what's going on. So why don't we do this? What's your email? Because I'll add you. There's a great opportunity, because there's a nosy neighbor campaign, because let's be real, we're all nosy neighbors. So it's a really good tool to see what sells in your area and what just gets listed, because this is going to give you your real estate equation, meaning you'll know how much your house can roughly sell for. And then once you get pre-approved, you'll know how much you can buy for, which is a great opportunity. And in this market, there's a lot of uncertainty for you to get a great deal. Let me ask you a question. If you were going to move, where would you move? Oh, I would move in the same area. I love the area. Oh, okay. Well, I see that you're in a townhouse now. Would you want to keep it in upsize, or would you just want to upsize to like a semi or detached? Oh no, me and my husband are thinking that, since we're going to have another kid, we want to get a detached house and have more space in a yard. Okay, no problem. What's your email? I'll send you those properties that is what you're looking for, so you have a better idea of what's happening. And I'll add you onto the tool, right? So when you get their email, be like, what's your number? Just in case something crazy happens in the market, what's your number so I can update you? Do you see how much more different that script is rather than anything else?
Right. But also, okay, in case if I don't have any listing, I'm just doing a regular, door knock. How would you approach that?
Farm.
Yeah.
You can't just you can't just pick up a place and door knock.
Random.
Have no value. So I would pick like 100 doors or 50 doors. I would start small, but I would do attach or semis, because those are going to have the higher turnover.
Okay. And what would you say if you don't knock, and if you have no listing there, nothing, no open house,
no problem.
nothing?
I would just say, hey, my name's Nick Moretti. I just came by today to let you know, because you have to come with something, right? So I would come with market stats, or if you've done some past solds or purchases, I would put that in there as well too. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Just to give them something. So and maybe honestly too, I'm just thinking on the spot, maybe you can do a hello neighbor and like put a photo of you and a little bit about yourself, right? Because you need to come more personal. You can't be a transaction based, because if you're transaction based, you're just going through a lot more people and getting low amounts of people coming in. You know what I mean? So that's what I would recommend. So if I'm just farming an area, sorry, Crystal, do you want to go?
No, I was just going to say, if you're more on, think of it as, I'm just introducing myself, right? Like if you're knocking on the door, hey, it's Iman, I'm a local realtor here in the neighborhood, and I just wanted to stop by and say hi. How are you guys doing today? Now, is there any questions about the market that you're seeing that I can answer for you? Because I know there's a lot of uncertainty. A lot of people are watching what's going on out there. Was there anything that I can provide you some answers or resources with, right? So it's giving them the opportunity to also say to you, well, yeah, I actually, have some questions. I'm noticing this, or, I noticed that interest rates are going up. What does that affect? So it gives you the opportunity to actually shine and educate and offer value. And really, it's more of a casual conversation, right? We're not here to sell them on anything or make them move or get an evaluation with us. It's just saying, hey, and introducing yourself, but having something to offer in the process. And as Nick is saying, if you're farming an area, you're hitting that house like every few months. So you're going through your door knock. It's just like you're going through your call list, you're going through your house list. And the next time you stop by, you're like, hey guys, just in the neighborhood, how are you guys doing? Right? It's not your job trying to sell them. You're just putting yourself in front of them again. And you're building on top of that relationship and what have you. But again, as Nick says, everyone wants to see what the homes in their neighborhood are selling for. So that's something that you can also offer them, so that you're walking away with something as well after that conversation.
Exactly. Now, switching to Agent Locator, because we were just talking about door knocking. So switching to Agent Locator, that's how I built my business off door knocking and Agent Locator. What else? I think, and open houses at that time. So right now my business is just agent locator. So my pillars are agent locator. I know I'm stuttering and then going back, but I need to explain it or else you're not going to understand it because I understand it,
Yeah.
Right.
So what I did is I picked 2 outgoing lead gens, okay? Meaning that you're pounding the pavement, and then I would pick 1 or 2 back lead gens that are always working in the background. So your advertisement, right? So number 1, I had agent locator, and I did bank days, right? Bank days were super successful for me. And then open houses, right? But right now it's just agent locator and referrals and spheres of influence. That's where I am now because it's 7 years of me working full time now. So I finally have clientele, thank God.
Right.
So that's what I have. And then my 2 back pillars are social media and like event planning.
Okay.
So like, doing stuff with their clientele, going back and hitting people, because so many people forget to water their database when they don't realize that like once the house closes, most people will never see their agents again, right? And that's a bad rep that us agents are giving out. If you're one of them, make sure you connect with your clients. If you're not, make sure you consistently go and talk to them, because now guess what? Now you're building more of a deeper connection of relationship, because they're like, wow, he doesn't just want my money. He really likes me and he wants to take care of me, which is really nice. And now you start working on the referral game. And guess what? When they're ready to sell in 3 to 5 years, you're going to get that listing.
Yeah. Do a pop by every year. Like I have one client here. He actually doesn't do leads. His whole team does, because he's been in the industry for many years now. But he's got such a large client base, but he pops by every single one of those people's houses. So he hits, I think, 20 to 30 houses a week. Yeah. He just stops by like, hey, just in the neighborhood, just wanted to say hi. How are you guys doing? Right. So it's a great way. And so then, of course, when they go to move again, he does that consistently enough that they are calling him. He has not forgotten about them. They are valuable to him, right? So that's something you can do with your clients, even like 3 months after they close. Just do a quick pop by and then schedule it so that you're going there like on their yearly anniversary of that home as well. So it's just kind of putting yourself back in front of them over and over again, letting them know that they are a value client, that this wasn't just a transaction, this is a long-term relationship you're wanting to have with them.
Totally. What we do for closing, actually, once they close, we say, okay, you know what, we like we said from the beginning, you're not a transaction to us, you have us for life. So once you guys get settled in, why don't we have, let me come over with drinks, or let's get together and just kind of chill with one another and start planning it. Like, okay, you know what, let's pick a tentative date. Let's say 60 days from now, I'm going to come over here and we're going to just chat and catch up again. Yeah. Like, just start planning those things and putting them in your calendar. Like, for me, I've learned, like, my job is just to fill up my calendar. Because if you're filling up your calendar, you're doing work, which means that you're going to make money.
Encourage them to have a housewarming party and invite yourself so you meet all their friends.
Exactly.
They're like, I'll be happy there. What can I bring? What can I bring? Just tell me what I.
Yeah. and that's what we've done too, right?
Yeah.
So it's been
like,
really
I want to celebrate. Yeah, I want to celebrate with you guys. I'd be more than happy if you guys do have any kind of housewarming party. Like, I would love to just pop in and say hi, and I'm really happy for you guys. So I'd love to be a part of that. And right, but it's also kind of like a sneaky way in there, because they introduce you as the realtor, right? So it's like there's a double tactic there as well.
Right. So that's kind of what it is. You just want to just build relationships, because relationships go much further than transactions.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. So for agent locator, I would pick, if your budget's only, a small budget, that's totally cool. I would pick just one area instead of dividing it in so many. I would pick one area to spend all that budget on. And then I think your problem is scripts, to be honest with you.
It's just confidence is all it is. It's just have conversations with people. Don't worry about the outcome. Just build, introduce yourself. It's like a first date. You're just saying hi, getting to know the person a little bit better, whether it's on the phone or in person. And you're going to come across a lot more relaxed and confident in what you're talking about, because you're not feeling like, I got to ask this question, this question, this question, this question. And we tend to tense up sometimes in those situations, whereas, I'm just going to mingle with all these people on the phone today, and just take it easy, and it's relaxed. And your lead is going to mimic that similar behavior and energy. that you're producing. So
what got me so far on my calls is that I give them value. You gotta lead by giving first, right? Like you can't ask for things first. You have to just keep giving, and then they're like, okay, you know what? You gave enough. Here's something. You know what I mean? And that's like information, right? Value information, like, or just calling them on like their birthdays if you find out what it is. Like, you know, you just kind of have to do these kind of things. So remember, it comes down to scripting, because I know what it is when you're calling and you haven't done a lot of calls, and then you're trying to have a smooth or warm conversation like Crystal's saying, but in your head you're not listening because you're like, okay, what do I need to ask next? What, right? So that's why we're scripting is super important, because once you're scripted and you internalize it, you know, you're good. So many people when I first called were like, Nick, it's so nice not to talk to a robot. It's so nice that you're actually present in this conversation and leading it, basically. You know what I mean? And that was where my aha moment went. And I'm like, oh, okay. So the way to make this work is people keep coming back to me because I make them feel good, you know? And that's what you have to do. You have to make them feel good.
Right.
But scripting, right? So some of the scripts, especially for Agent Locator, is, you know, hey, it's Nick Moretti calling from Moretti Real Estate. Just want to thank you so much for, you know, signing up on MorettiRealEstate.com. You know, my goal is to make sure that anyone who comes on has a great user experience. So I'm kind of like your customer service guide. You know, how you doing today? I'm doing great, whatever. Okay, awesome. Well, hey, how's your search going? I understand. And by the way, I understand that you're just in the information stage. And I understand that you're just looking for information. And we also understand that it takes 3 to 18 months for something to come out of fruition from it. And you know what? That's totally cool, because as your realtor, I just want to make sure you have the right information, because there's a lot of agents that don't know their stuff, right? And then I just kind of go in saying like, yeah, we're in the top 1%. We do more than, you know, 40 plus transactions a year. We have a full team, so we'll be able to guide you. Now, if you don't mind me asking, what were you looking for in your next home? You know, if they're like, oh, if they're still like, I'm just looking, we'll be like, okay, well, you have to force it open, right? So you got to say, okay, I understand. I see that you're looking in Oshawa, you know, between three bedrooms and 2 bathrooms minimum. Is that something that you're looking for? Yes, it is. Okay, well, are you only looking for attached, semis, detached? Like, what are you looking for? Oh, I'm looking for semis and detached. Okay, great. You know, if you don't mind me asking, you know, how much are you looking to spend in between? Oh, only like 700. Okay, are you pre-approved? No, I'm not. When you hear no, I'm not, this is a really good opportunity to get one of your referral partners in to be like, hey, you know what? I totally understand. You know, we work with a bunch of referral partners, so it's really good to have, you know, someone in your corner like myself and one of our teammates to make sure that you get approved, because a lot of mortgage agents say that they tell you a number without collecting the paperwork, and guess what, that number is not your true number. With our vendors, they have top standards like us, and we're going to make sure that whatever that number is, that's your number. My scripts are super long, but it's like you have to dive deep, because if you go surface, you're not going to get anywhere.
Right. So how would you approach this? I called this person, an A lead. I called him. He wasn't answering, but one day he answered, and he was like, "Oh, I was just looking." And he checks the email like on daily basis. He click the properties and view the photos, everything. So he mentioned, okay, I have a plan in 1 to 2 years, and I was just looking, and he just like then hung up. So like how can I answer? What would be my script here then?
2 things, 3 things. For sure. But you have to like, just number one, you need to do homework. What homework means is like, okay, for me, when I look at a lead, I see how many times they viewed and all that stuff, which is great, right? That's great. And then I would go on MLS and I would look at to see what other opportunities are that are similar to that before I make that call. Right. So then when I'm making the call, I would be like, hey, you know what? I saw that you saw 1, 2, you know, I wouldn't say that. I would say, hey, you know what? I totally understand that you're just in the information stage, but based on your criteria, I think I have a better understanding of what you're looking for. Did you end up seeing from the list I sent you 123 Main Street? Because it was a really great house. And that's the 123 Main Street's the one that they viewed the most, right? And they're like, oh yeah, I did see that. Oh, okay, awesome. Well, hey, look, I understand that you're looking for 1 to 2 years out, which I totally understand. But remember, real estate, to be successful, you got to plan. So it's great that you have a timeline, but let's work on trying to get that timeline come to fruition. So, you know, let me ask you a question. Have you been pre-approved? No, I haven't, because I'm not there yet. Hey, I totally understand. you know what I would do in this stage? You know what? At the end of the day, I don't usually take people out that are not pre-approved, but I think it's important in the information stage for you to see what type of homes are available, right? So, you know, I see that you're looking between, you know, 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. If you don't mind, what other properties have you seen that you really liked? Do you know what I mean? If they give you another property, great. What I would be saying is like, okay, no problem. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send you a handpicked list of homes that are similar to this. And if you're available in the next 2 days, I would be happy to give you a call and reconnect with you to see how it works out. Do you know what I'm saying? And get your feedback on the list. Then 2 days later, you call them. Hopefully they answered like, okay, you know what? How was the list? They like it. Perfect. You know what? Why don't we go take a look at them? You know, when are you available? Like I said, I understand that you're just in the information stage, but as your realtor, I need to showcase and educate you so you can see the opportunities like I do, so you can make money. You say things like that, they're eating out of your hand.
You can, and so like good. I think he hung up on her though, so she didn't have the chance to say all that.
Right.
I will follow up with him in about a month, you know, and just be like, hey, yeah, I just, you know, and we know we spoke. You're just in that, you know, you're about a year or 2 out, and I just want to make sure everything's still good, and I'm sending you the right information right now, right? And you can go into the stuff that Nick is going on, but again, when you're checking in on somewhere, we're just making sure things are all good on their part, that there's nothing that we could be doing to service them in this very moment. And ask them too, right? Like, is there anything I could be doing for you right now? Any information I could be gathering for you to help you make an educated decision? And, you know, if you're be more and kind of going into even what Nick is saying, you know, I'd be more than happy to go even just show you a couple houses or a house or two, even if it's just houses in your neighborhood, so you can get a better understanding of what the current market looks like with the houses that are directly impacting yours.
Totally.
Right.
I think on that call, based on what I heard, you need to do homework before you call these leads. Meaning you need to see what properties they want, because I think that there was an opportunity where you could have got further, but I think it's scripting and getting that. But that's totally cool. You just have to learn, right? Like, you know, you have to learn, think about it too. So many agents are doing the same thing you're doing. How many calls are they getting? They're not just coming onto your website. They're going onto 5 or 6 and registering, right? So you have to understand that A, they might not know who you are, and B, if they do, that's great. Now, what can I say different from my competition to get them in my, you know, in my sphere? And that's the best way you have to look at things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. You know? Yeah, it did. Thank you so much.
But I have with Crystal recording all these with all these calls, I would look back at some of our calls because I have some of my live dials there, and you can listen to the scripts and how it works out.
Okay.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thanks, Nick, for hopping in. It was a great discussion. I think a lot of value was added here and received from our viewers.
For sure.
I
appreciate everyone coming out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you have any questions, please let me know or let Crystal know. We'll take care of you.
Sounds good. Well, we'll see you all in a couple weeks. Bye, Nick. Have fun.
Thanks. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.